I'm named Thomas Proffitt because my great uncle went down in a B29 bomber like that one. And nobody was able to find the wreckage. They don't know where it went. And I thought it would be cool to take his letters and sit in the seat that he sat in when it went down. And I got a call at 333 at the top of the hill on that day after everything in my life was unfolding and I was not ready for whatever I was aiming for in life, to tell me, sorry, we're canceling the flight. It's been grounded for maintenance. And I would learn that year that my maintenance guy had to be Jesus. I remember one of my Sunday school teachers giving me a book that sat on my shelf for 10 years when he called me Doubting Thomas, affectionately. He gave me this book, Wild at Heart by John Eldridge. And that book sat on my shelf for over 10 years. And then when I was going through a breakup and all these things last year, I was cleaning my room and just trying to just organize my life, man. I was in chaos and I need to organize things. And I thought I needed something to listen to. Maybe I'll finally read this book. And the World War II script that I mentioned, there were books that inspired scenes of that film. And that film was me trying to understand what it means to be a man. The book Wild at Heart referenced the same books, the same moments from said books that inspired scenes in my film, but then interpreted them in ways that better explained what it means to be a man than I ever knew from writing that script. And then the following Sunday, I go to a church sermon for a friend that just randomly invited me to their church. And the sermon was about doubting Thomas. And I go to Valley Forge that same day. And this was a very pivotal day, actually. I was trying to do something very, very courageous in life, and it did not work out in my favor. I wasn't ready. And I get to the top of the hill in Valley Forge, and I try not to look for numbers or signs anymore. I try my best. But I got a call at 333. And it was a call to say that I had a B29 flight as the Fifi bomber, B29. I was going to go on it, and it was a metaphor. I'm taking flight this year. It was a metaphor of that because it was for romantic reasons. I'm named Thomas Proffitt because my great uncle went down in a B29 bomber like that one. And nobody was able to find the wreckage. They don't know where it went. And I thought it would be cool to take his letters and sit in the seat that he sat in when it went down. And I got a call at 333 at the top of the hill on that day after everything in my life was unfolding and I was not ready for whatever I was aiming for in life, to tell me, sorry, we're canceling the flight. It's been grounded for maintenance. And I would learn that year that my maintenance guy had to be Jesus. And none of this surprises me. It spooks me. It's fun. It feels like you ever find that you unlock this part of reality where you get to you realize that something has been throwing something to you. You might have missed it. It was like a ball got thrown past your head, or some call was somebody called you, or you catch the ball and then you throw it back, or you answer the call. That might look like you feel like you're supposed to make a film to honor somebody who passed away because you feel this desire, this burden on your heart, not a desire in your heart, a burden on your heart pressing down, saying you have to do this, and it's gushing the wickedness out of your heart. Go do this thing. It might not make sense, but go do it. There's stories throughout the Bible of people hearing the Lord tell them, go do something. Maybe when you hear the Lord, it's this feeling of something pressing down on you, your heart, saying you need to go do this thing. You need to go storm the hill. And if you storm the hill, it'll work. It won't make sense before, but once it happens, it'll boggle your mind how simple it was. And I made that film, and all the weirdest things happen in life. I went to the wake with the script, thinking it was done, to hear a voice tell me, don't leave, there's somebody here you need to meet. Meeting a guy I'd never met before, did not know about my dream. His dream, or didn't know about my film. He had a dream that matched the script exactly, except he asks our friend in the dream, how's heaven? To which our friend responded, I got the flames, brother. I could never trust God, our friend Mike. And I drove home deciding to trust God again. I was like, all right, God, I'm going to start trusting you again. I'm going to rewrite this film into a dream, or this dream into a film and all this stuff, And actually, I didn't decide it until a religious friend randomly called me that night because he felt like compelled to call me. But I'm driving home like, God, I'm gonna start trusting you again. And then I saw the most beautiful sunlight I'd ever seen. It was like pure love. And then I felt this feeling of warmth and love, like a hug from an old friend. And I drove home and I saw this homeless guy I've always seen. I wanted to ask him if he wanted something to eat, and I asked him, and he said his name was Mike, just like my friend who died. And that night I got a random phone call from my religious friend. He's like, I felt like I needed to call you. He encouraged me to make that person's dream into a film, and then encouraged me to look for truth. And I casted Damon, the friend at the mansion, at the wake, who's become a friend since, in the film, even though he never acted. I didn't know if I could trust him. We got to shoot at the mansion that we filmed at recently. It was just a miracle. 50 locations dropped through. That was the only one that stuck. And then we got to film there. We got to bond as a family. And there was a second time I heard that voice say, something important is about to happen here. Let it unfold. When we should have been working. 2 hours went by. Everyone's in tears, and Damon got to like heal from some past trauma and whatnot, from losing 5 close friends in life. And we drove home from that, having gotten everything done. It started snowing right after that, by the way, just randomly. Just started snowing first time all month or all year. I forget. But it was like, we got everything done. And sorry, I'm like speed running through this, so it might not make sense. But I'm in the car leaving the shoot and leaving Lebanon, and I remember looking, just thinking, God, you did this. I couldn't have done this, and you did all this. And Damon's headlights are beaming through my mirror, almost like an angel or something behind me. And I'm thinking, God, you did all this. I couldn't. I glorified him at that moment. And then for some reason, I looked down at my odometer. I should stop looking at my odometer and looking for signs, but it said 7777. And I'm just like, you know what, man? All because I decided to make a film to honor a friend. I felt that burden on my heart. I caught the ball and I threw it back, or I answered the call. God doesn't call you. He doesn't call the qualified. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And he doesn't call you unless you're ready to pick up the phone. And if you're living in sin, there's no reception. So you need to figure out, if you want God to call you and have really strange things happen in your life where it almost feels like a Bible story, be ready to pick up the phone, man. Some weird stuff happens where it's gonna be scary. You're gonna feel like you have to storm a hill with bullets getting shot at you. But if you do it, it's gonna be the best thing you've ever done. It's gonna be the best adventure you've ever been on. It's gonna lead to the best life you've ever had, I think. Like, my life has not been the same. But I say all this as an encouragement to filmmakers. Make the films that are meaningful to you. And I think I covered all of my weird science theories about how the universe works and all this. And I hope you can take your tinfoil hat off at this point. I don't think there's anything more, is there? I think there probably is, but I'll let you know when to put your tinfoil hat back on. But that was a little out there, but it's been real. It's been a real journey for me. I've had weirder things happen, which I don't want to get into because they get into things I'm not even sure what to make of it. But man, good stuff. It's been good stuff. It's been everything that's happened to me that's been strange has been a way to refine me, deepen my faith, deepen my relationship with God, and take me further down the plan he has for me. I'm witnessing things materialize in my life that I never thought I'd see materialize, which has been such a blessing. It's so awesome. And, although I feel like I'm, walking through the valley of the shadow of death, for some reason, Valley Forge seems to be a place that feels like where I go when I'm going through the valley of the shadow of death. But I will fear no evil, because his rod and staff comforts me.